Could this trade be exactly what the Red Sox need? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. Here on this channel, we are continuing our search for Red Sox trade targets if they happen to buy at this year's deadline. In today's trade, well, it might not be the flashiest in the world, but it may be something that works out perfectly for the Boston Red Sox. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break that down a little bit. We are going to talk about this trade proposal, who it is, why this target's been mentioned so much, and what it would cost to get him here, plus whether or not it's actually realistic for the Boston Red Sox. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. The trade target we're looking at in today's video is a right-handed starting pitcher by the name of Erick Fedde. Now, what's interesting about Erick Fedde is that for most of his years, he really wasn't a great major league pitcher. In fact, between 2017 and 2022, he spent that time as a mostly starter. There were some seasons where he came out as a reliever, but for the most part, he was a starter with the Washington Nationals. And during that time frame, he had a 5.41 ERA with a lower but still not great 5.17 FIP, a 1.523 whip, which is a lot of traffic on the base pass, and it was good for a 77 ERA plus, about 23% less productive than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball. And like I said, those aren't exactly statistics that are going to get you a very good contract. In fact, once Erick Fedde reached free agency, he realized that his best option may not be to play in Major League Baseball after all, and instead went and signed a deal in the Korean Baseball League, the Professional Korean Baseball League, at what is known as the KBO. And while this may sound like a bit of a death sentence to Fedde's career, it may have been the best decision he's ever made, because whatever he figured out in Korea was absolutely dominant. Fedde went over there in over 180 and a third innings. He had a 2.0 ERA with a 2.38 FIP, which is a little bit higher, but definitely nothing to get concerned with there. And his whip was below 1 at 0.95. He had in one season cut his walk rate in half from 3.87 in the majors the season before to 1.5 in the KBO. And he increased his strikeouts by more than 4% as well. And I get it. Oh, but this was Korea. This has nothing to do with Major League Baseball. He still needed to prove that he could pitch in MLB. Well, he got his opportunity this offseason when he was able to sign a deal with the Chicago White Sox. And again, whatever he had figured out over in Korea, he was able to translate really well into Major League Baseball, at least for the most part so far this season, because in 19 starts, Fedde has a 2.99 ERA with a little bit higher, but again, nothing too crazy, 3.54 FIP. His whip is down to a 1.132. His walk rate is at a career low of 2.4 per 9, at least when it comes to Major League Baseball. His strikeouts are sitting pretty at 8 per 9 innings, and this is good for a 1.38 ERA plus, about 38% better than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball. Whatever he worked on in Korea has translated incredibly well back in Major League Baseball, and it's not only that. Fedde is also averaging almost 6 innings pitched per start during this 2024 season, and in 2023, he proved that he can pitch a whole lot of innings when he pitched 180 and a thirds. When you're taking a look at why statistically the Boston Red Sox should be interested in a guy like Fedde is because he kind of fits all the boxes, right? Statistically, he is going to be your third best pitcher with the potential to be your second best pitcher. Actually, he would be your second best pitcher with the potential to be a 3 or a 4. He's a guy who is going to eat innings. He's averaging almost 6 innings per start this season. He's going to be a guy who you could throw out there every 5 days for the rest of the season because he proved he could do that last year. And I do understand that it's Korean baseball, so it's a little bit different than Major League Baseball, but still having that amount of innings on your arm and being able to manage that workload is the same no matter where you play. And I think that's a really important factor here because at the end of the day, that's what the Red Sox need. They need to be able to balance out the amount of innings that they are going to have to spread out over the second half or whatever it is after the deadline, and Erick Fedde could go a long way in helping that. But there may be even more reason for the Red Sox to be interested in Fedde. The first one is that he's not a very old target. When you're looking at, hey, okay, so you've got your pantheon of really great players, the Garrett Crochets, the Nick Lodolos of the world, and then there's that step down. Erick Fedde's only 31, and he would be 32 next year, which could make him a really interesting target for this front office who really doesn't love giving older pitchers money. And speaking of money, the other reason the Red Sox may be super interested in him is the fact that he is extremely inexpensive. He signed a 2-year, $15 million deal with the Chicago White Sox. So to pick him up for the second half of this season, you'd really only have to take on $3 million, which fits pretty perfectly into how the Red Sox are structuring this team financially over the last couple of years. And coming into 25, he's only owed $7.5 million, which again could help really save the Boston Red Sox some money because obviously they're pretty low on funds right now for some reason. But either way, looking at overall why Fedde fits on the Red Sox and why he would be an interesting trade target, the answer is so unbelievably clear. My biggest takeaway here is I want a guy who has experience and can throw innings. Erick Fedde has experience. He has experience failing. He has experience succeeding. He has experience pitching not a lot of innings, pitching a lot of innings. This is kind of an interesting guy for the Red Sox to target in terms of both on the field play and off the field play. He fits financially into the Red Sox budget, and he's not a super short-term solution. You can utilize him next year as well to improve the 2025 team on top of that. There's a whole lot to like about Erick Fedde, but the big question here is, well, actually it's two questions. What is it going to take the Red Sox to get him to Boston, and would the Red Sox be willing to give up what it takes? Before we get into the actual cost of Erick Fedde, and if the Red Sox are willing to do that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe and that like button. Helps these videos out a ton, and it's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Also, don't forget, if you want to listen to these episodes going forward, Red Sea Radio is available everywhere you get podcasts. All you have to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Sea Radio. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's talk about everything else. The cost to get Erick Fedde may actually end up being higher than a lot of people may think. I understand that for the most part of his career, he hasn't exactly been a fantastic pitcher, but this year he really tapped into something, so his statistics are definitely going to bump his price up a little bit. On top of that, like we just talked about, he's under control for 2 years at an extremely team-friendly value, especially for how he's pitching right now. He's only 31, going into his age 32 season next year. These are all factors that are going to increase his price on the open market, which is going to make it a bit difficult for Red Sox fans to digest what it may take to get him on this team. Now, according to baseball trade values, which is, in my opinion, not a perfect science, but a good basis as to what a player's value may be, they have him listed at $21.5 million, which is maybe a bit of an arm. It's not exactly an arm and a leg. For the Red Sox, what that would look like in value, again, this is not my true trade proposal. This is just to give you an idea of what a trade could possibly look like if I were the Boston Red Sox. One of them is just 1-for-1 Wilyer Abreu for Erick Fedde. I love Wilyer Abreu. I don't want him going anywhere, but at some point, you're going to have to decide how many lefties you're going to have on this team, with more lefties coming up in the next couple of years. Maybe this is the time the Red Sox decide on something there, or you could go with more of a large trade package that gets rid of some of the Rule 5 guys you've got going on over the next year and a half, so you could get rid of some of those players as well. The Nick Yorks, the Chase Maedras, maybe throwing in Manuel Valdez, Blaze Jordan could be in that conversation, right? You could sort of put together a large sum of packages than just one player, and I honestly don't know which one the White Sox would prefer, to be honest with you. They're kind of in a really tough spot. They don't have a ton on the horizon minor league wise. They don't have a ton on the horizon major league wise outside of Crochet and Robert. So you kind of got to figure, hey, if I can get as many players as humanly possible, some of them are bound to stick somewhere. So maybe that's sort of the arena that they want. But overall, when you're looking at the cost that it would take to get Erick Fedde, this is just sort of a basis, remember. This isn't what it might actually cost. In fact, it may end up being a little bit more than that, considering every competitor right now in in Major League Baseball is looking for pitching. If the White Sox were to put him on the market, there's a pretty good chance a pretty decent sized bidding war takes place, and whoever gives it the most is going to win. And I don't know if the Red Sox are going to be prepared to do that. So in my opinion, what's standing in the way of the Red Sox is not really the White Sox themselves. I think they'd be pretty open to a whole lot of trade packages, as again, they're trying to retool basically their entire team right now to compete in 5 years as opposed to the next couple of years. It's going to be the outside forces preventing the Red Sox from getting this guy are going to be other teams bidding on his services. Now, the ultimate question here is this something the Red Sox would be willing to do? And to be honest with you, I have absolutely no idea, because I don't think anyone knows what the Red Sox want to do. We sit here and we say, well, they're probably not going out and going to blow up the farm to get someone who's going to alter the course of Red Sox history for the next 6 years, right? The Crochets, the Lodolos, the guys who could sit at the top of this lineup and cost you an arm and a leg and maybe more to get to this team. They're probably not doing that. So what are they doing? This would be sort of a middle of the road. This would be the sort of, I would be pumped about this, but I don't know if this would make headlines on ESPN or anything crazy like that. Is this a place the Red Sox are willing to go? And to be honest with you, I think at some point the Red Sox have to accept that if they are buying at this year's deadline, they are going to be paying a premium. They're going to have to spend more than they are probably comfortable spending to get anyone impactful for this team. If they don't want to do that, you're probably going to end up with players that maybe move the needle marginally, and I'm talking extremely marginally, right? Maybe a spot starter depth piece, which we already have a couple of those. If you're talking offensively, maybe a quadruple A guy, which again, you already have a couple of those. If you really want to move the needle even slightly, this is probably the next step up, and I absolutely love this idea, and I really do think this is someone the Red Sox have to have on their board right now. I don't know what else the Red Sox could be looking for. If they aren't looking to make a gigantic splash, Erick Fedde is solid statistically. He's proven he can pitch for full seasons. He's proven he can pitch a lot of innings. He's also under team control for 2 seasons, well, 1.5 again, and he's not worth a whole lot of money. That seems like a perfect package for the Boston Red Sox. Again, are they willing to get there? I don't know. My gut tells me they aren't going to be willing to do something like this, but they absolutely should be. But that is just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think? What do you think about the possibility for trading for Erick Fedde? Is it a surprisingly good idea? Is it something that you would try and avoid? What are your thoughts overall on the latest Red Sox possible trade target? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Sox almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Just helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.